All right, I wanted to do a short video. I'm going to do a longer video at some point. This is a video to not to give any hard and fast answers. This is more to bring up, I think, a very important subject in the world of A Course in Miracles that has been greatly, hotly debated and argued about. And as we know, Jesus says in the clarification of terms, if you want clarification, you will find it. And if you want controversy, you will also find that. If you're seeking clarification, which is what we're doing right now, then you will overlook the controversy. But I think it's important to just bring up the issues, I hope, in an unbiased and objective way, although it's hard to do that in this world. Partly because none of us knows all the facts, right? That's why it's essential. If you're a Course in Miracles student, you're working on non-judgment, right? Because you don't have all the facts, you don't see the whole picture. If you saw the whole picture, you wouldn't need the Course in Miracles, right? You would have transcended your bias and your ego personality, and you might not even be here. Who knows? Has anyone really completely ever done that in the body? It's a good question, and I'm not sure if anyone truly has. But I'm not saying that they have not. Jesus, in a way, in the Course, seems to suggest that he was a man who found his way all the way home to the Holy Spirit. He followed the Holy Spirit all the way home, and he became a manifestation of the Holy Spirit. Did he do that while he was alive? I'm not sure if I mean, he does suggest that was the case. He saw the Christ in all of his brothers, and he remembered God, right? That's the line. I believe this is in the clarification of terms too, right? So I want to bring up the subject of one Course teacher who seems to be a very controversial subject, and one that there are different camps. Let me just say, in an effort to be transparent and to maybe get at my own bias, I got into A Course in Miracles about 10 years ago. I was in Bali, and I had been carrying around this book with me for some time. And finally I opened it in Bali, and it was like right around the holiest day of the year in Bali. And I really got into this book, and the book is called The Disappearance of the Universe by Gary Renard. Now, I would like to do a whole video just on Gary Renard and this book, and talk about the controversy about it. And Gary Renard is definitely connected to what we're talking about, in the sense that in that book, for those of us like myself who started with that book, he really seems to put Ken Wapnick on a pedestal. And he has his ascended masters telling him that one day Ken Wapnick will be recognized as the greatest Course teacher of all time, something like that, right? So if that was the first book you read, like myself, then you will tend to probably think that Ken Wapnick was the greatest, right? Especially if you believe that book is true, and you're not even aware of all the other things out there in the world of A Course in Miracles, and it is a kind of a big world of A Course in Miracles. Who knows how big? It's a small world, and it's a big world, just like the world we live in is a very big world, and it's also a very small world. But after I read that, then I became aware of the controversy around Gary Renard and his book. I also became aware that not everyone is a fan of Ken Wapnick. And I really looked into the subject, and I continue to look into the subject because I'm fascinated. And I think it's a very important one. And the main reason being is that Ken was one of the foremost teachers. He's one of the earliest teachers. Helen did not teach the course. Bill did not teach the course. And Ken, who worked hand in hand closely with Helen and Bill for some years, he took up that torch. And he did not at first think that he was going to be doing what he did. He thought he was going to be teaching teachers of the course, but he ended up becoming a teacher of many, many people. And to this day, because many people, like myself, watch his videos and listen to his talks to this day and learn from him. The problem, though, is that Ken said that he was not giving an interpretation of A Course in Miracles. He was just telling what it says. And that's one point at which people have said, well, that now you're getting into kind of an infallibility thing. Like what you're saying is infallible, and people said that he was like the Pope of the world of A Course in Miracles. I don't think that was fair, actually. And I think that partly what he was saying was a challenge to people in the Course in Miracles world, which is, do they really understand what A Course in Miracles is and what it's saying? Right? I'm not saying that he was completely right, and people have pointed out, well, his ideas changed over the years. Yes, they did. But I think, and the other thing that people will say, and something I've also thought about and questioned myself, is, did Ken ever really get to that experiential place with the Course? Did he ever have the experience of revelation or the holy instant himself? Now, he did not talk about that. He talks about Helen, the moments where he saw Helen apparently in that place of direct experience or revelation. But he actually he did talk about how before he even met Helen and Bill, he was having these mystical experiences with music. And I think that's what brought him to that place of seeing, his relationship with Jesus. That brought him to that relationship with Jesus. I kind of just got a chill just saying that. Actually, I am I biased in what I'm saying? Perhaps. But actually, what I'm trying to do is I think that what I'm trying to do here is to correct a misperception. And I think that's what A Course in Miracles is all about, right? It's about correcting our misperceptions. And I don't know that people have the right perception of Ken Wapnick. The way I see him, even after learning all about the controversies, and I'm well aware of a lot of things that people have said about Ken Wapnick and Gary Renard. And I'm still holding to this, what I'm saying. I'm not oblivious. I think that Ken truly understood the Course. Even if let's say he didn't have a revelation. Let's say I don't think that's true. I think he did have those mystical experiences early on. Maybe even had them later as well. But he didn't talk about them. And he also did not fight with people, right? He knew people were against him. And he made some public statements, but he never, to my knowledge, pointed out people as enemies and spoke by name, called people out by name, which I think is something that we need to look at, that he did not do that. He did make a big effort to say, he didn't name names, but he did say, I think people are not getting this, right? And you think you are, but you may be misinterpreting this. You may be misunderstanding this. One book I would point to that he did, this is actually a 2-volume set. It's called The Message of A Course in Miracles. The first volume is called All Are Called. And the second is But Few Choose to Listen. Right? So the first is what does the Course in Miracles teach? And it points out that it's for everyone, although everyone may not be for it in any given moment. And then, but few choose to listen. This is a quote from Jesus in the Course in Miracles. All are called, but few choose to listen. Correcting the verse in the Gospels in Matthew where Jesus says, many are called, but few are chosen. And now in the Course, Jesus is saying, all are called, but few choose to listen. And Ken's point is that very few will go all the way with the Course. Why? Because our resistance is so great. And, as soon as you think that you know what it is and you have it, that's where the humility must come in. Even if you think you have a direct line to the Holy Spirit or that you're receiving messages from the Holy Spirit, I think there's still room to question. Even if you're scribing things like Helen, and even if you're channeling things, I think there's still room to question. I'm sorry. I don't think this is that easy. Because the ego is so powerful. Right? So that's just to start with with the subject. This is a very big subject. I think that when I read this, for example, I really feel you can't deny that Ken had a very deep and thorough understanding of A Course in Miracles. And he was able to clarify things. Now, not everyone would accept what he says, but for example, Ken understood the Course to be getting at the idea of non-duality. Now, I don't think he said what the non-duality exactly looks like, although he kind of pointed, to what it might be. But he, I think his essential point is that in reality, only God exists, and we are all one with that reality. There's no two. There's no separateness. So that's non-duality. Even if the Course does not say non-duality, and even if the Course speaks in dualistic terms, there's enough in the Course that really, if you really have the eye to see it, you will see that non-duality runs all through the Course. But it's written in dualistic terms because that is where we think that we are. And so there, Ken was trying to say you have to defer to the non-dualistic teachings in trying to understand the Course, because if Jesus in the Course talks about sons of God, and then in another time he says, well, there's only one Son of God in reality, you have to defer to that versus thinking that there are many sons of God, and that somehow heaven consists of distinct sons of God. Now, but that's that's where we could have a discussion, but in reality, it's not really open to debate in the sense that it's an experience, right? And we could debate till we're blue in the face, but we're not gonna, no one's gonna arrive at an answer to that question. That's where the direct mystic experience comes in, right? You can't, words cannot go there, and no one will be convinced by mere words. Anyway, I'm hoping that I'm bringing some clarity here. I think Ken, personally, I think he's kind of become a scapegoat of sorts. And perhaps we need to direct our forgiveness to Ken. Because people seem to have something against him. Whereas, to my mind, he was the same Son of God and the same brother that we all are. Right? And he was doing his level best to fulfill his function. And I think the last thing I'll say here is you can't deny, if you believe that Helen was who Helen was, and the Course came through her, and Jesus was really dictating this Course to her, you can't deny the fact that Ken was third in command, so to speak. He came on as a young man. They invited him in. Helen and Bill invited him to be part of this work because they knew that he was part of it. So I mean, was there a mistake there? I'm just bringing this to question. I'm not giving you an answer because I don't have an answer. But if anything, I want to help correct what I think is a misperception, which is those who think they have the answer, right? And I don't want to fight, and I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to attack anyone. I'm not here to tell anyone that they're wrong. I'm merely raising the question, and I'm bringing up a perspective that could be accepted or rejected, or maybe sat with, and maybe mulled over, and maybe, and I'll say more about this in later videos. And I thank you so much for listening. And this video was inspired by some recent comments, and I thank you, brother, for bringing this subject up. And I've been meaning to talk about this for a while now, and here we are. So feedback is most welcome, and thoughts and commentary, and even attacks and argumentation are also welcome. So see you soon. Thank you.